iready reading, and I just got to level G on math, and yeah, so let's go.
Little kids need to be protected by adults. However, as we get older, we eventually need to learn to take care of ourselves. That means adults need to begin to let go, and give us teens more independence. Of course, every family or household works differently, and the transition to teen independence isn't always easy. Parents and guardians may worry that something bad could happen to their teenagers if they aren't protecting them. But here's how I see it. If teenagers never get a chance to try new experiences independently, how can we ever really grow up and become responsible adults?
Okay, let's go to the question.
What is the author's purpose for writing this text?
The author's purpose for writing this text is to convince readers that kids need more freedom as they grow. Also, if anyone knows, can you tell me by the lesson name how many more lessons I have until I finish iready?
Facing experiences on our own can give us confidence. Recently, I asked my mom if I could ride the bus by myself to a nearby shopping center to meet some friends. At first, she was worried I would get lost, but when we went over the bus route together, she realized that I already knew all the stops by heart. That convinced her that she could trust me to get there and back by myself. I didn't want anyone to realize how excited I was. So from the moment I stepped onto the bus, I acted as if I rode solo every day. By the time I got to my destination, I felt bold and brave, and I was sure I even looked more mature. That experience helped me imagine a day when I could care for myself, even if my parents weren't there. And I think that's an important part of growing up.
Okay, let's go to the next question.
Based on the author's story about riding the bus, what is her point of view about teen independence?
Teens must review their plans with an adult before going somewhere. Doing things alone can help teens to believe in themselves. Parents should stop worrying about their teens getting lost. This is just what I think. Okay, let's continue reading.
Adults may worry that giving their teenage children freedom to make their own decisions will result in them making some bad choices. And that might happen from time to time. But here's the thing. You can still learn from bad decisions. In fact, sometimes you learn even more from them. For instance, one time my brother, who's a senior in high school, got a ride from a friend to a picnic in the park. He wanted to stay later than his friend did and figured he'd have no problem getting another ride home. Unfortunately, when it got to be past his curfew, he hadn't found someone to drive him home. He had to call my parents to pick him up, and they were not happy. My brother learned from his mistake, and so did I. Never change plans without having a firm backup plan in place. Of course, I don't think that the adults responsible for us should just let us do whatever we want. It's up to them to keep us safe, so they have to set some limits. It's reasonable for them to set a curfew and to insist that we tell them where we are going, who we are going with, and what we'll be doing. It's also fair for our parents and guardians to ask us to check in every couple of hours while we're out.
How does the author address a conflicting point of view in this part of the text?
The author recognizes that teens do not always make very good decisions, that this is why adults may resist letting them do what they want. However, she argues that as a result of these decisions, teens might learn an important lesson.
What does the author conclude about parents and teen independence in this part of the text?
Parents should not give teens total freedom.
Gaining independence won't and shouldn't happen immediately. We can start with small steps to help prove that we're dependable. Then, as we gain more trust, we can earn greater privileges, such as staying out a little later or getting a part-time job. Likewise, if we don't prove ourselves to be reliable, we should accept the loss of some privileges until we demonstrate that we can handle more responsibility. I believe that when teens are allowed to try out new experiences on their own, they learn to be self-sufficient, and they learn how to make good decisions and solve problems. In other words, they learn how to grow up. The adults in our lives may always be protective of us on some level, but letting go a little at a time will allow us to feel like we're gaining independence, and it will also ensure that we're not taking on too much all at once.
How does the author show that she understands a parent's point of view about teen independence?
Neither teenage children to show they can be trusted and take care of themselves. This is why she argues that teens must learn independence gradually.
Tap the sentence that explains what teens can prove in small steps. Teens can take small steps to prove they are dependable.
Now they can be trusted. Okay. Next, we're going to be moving on to the quiz, if there's not yet quiz.
Next stop, Adulthood, by Meg Belviso.
Okay, let's do that.
Read carefully. You only get...
Growing up. Now that I'm a teenager, I think about it a lot. I mean, lots of kids wish they were older, but not everyone thinks about what it actually means to be an adult. Sure, adults have more privileges, but they also have many responsibilities, too. Adults are expected to have jobs, pay bills, and generally take care of themselves. To get an idea of whether you're prepared to be an adult, answer the following questions. Do you know how to prepare a healthy meal? Open a bank account or cash a check? Create a resume that tells about your education and work history? Register to vote? Plan and pay for transportation? Wash and dry a load of laundry?
Just a few examples of life skills that adults need to have. There are many others. If you're like me, you may not be able to do most of them quite yet, but sometimes these skills will be extremely valuable.
Because life skills are so important, it would be nice if there were a predictable way to learn them. A lot of people think you're supposed to learn life skills at home, but that isn't always possible. Many adults work long hours and don't have a lot of extra time to teach us things like how to cook or budget our money. Out of school, most of us don't have much extra time either because we're really busy with homework, chores, after-school jobs, or other activities. So why can't we learn life skills in school?
Okay, next.
What is the author's purpose for writing this text?
To persuade readers to spend more time listing their skills, to help readers develop some basic and valuable life skills, to warn readers that they may lack the skills necessary for work, to convince readers to that practical skills should be taught in school. I think it should be this one because it says, so why can't we learn life skills in school?
How does the author address a conflicting point of view?
The author acknowledges some people's feelings that life skills are best on them. However, she argues that parents and teens lack the free time they would need to focus on life skills.
Some people live on their own after high school or college. A life skills class could focus on the kinds of tasks that are fundamental to living independently. For instance, how do you find and rent an apartment? And if you do have your own place, how do you set up the utilities, like electricity? How do you then pay rent and utility bills each month? And what happens if you forget? Life skills classes could walk us through these procedures so we know exactly what we're supposed to do.
What idea does the author advance in this part of the text?
Paying bills can help young people feel successful and mature. Forgetting to do specific chores can lead to serious consequences. Mastering certain tasks will prepare young adults to live on their own. Finding an apartment is an important part of becoming an adult. Mastering certain tasks will prepare young adults to live on their own.
Many people will argue that schools are already too busy teaching all the academic subjects, such as language arts, math, social studies, and science. They'll say that there is a lot of material to cover, and the school day just isn't long enough to add more classes. They have a point, but out in the real world, life skills are as crucial as academic ones. For instance, the math skills you learn in school might make you qualified for a particular job, but you can only get that job if you know how to fill out an application or answer questions during an interview.
How does the author address a conflicting point of view in this part of the text?
The author recognizes that schools already have a full schedule. However, she argues that life skills are as important as academic subjects.
And let's say you get the job you applied for. You then have to know how to budget your earnings. Will you spend a lot of your money eating out because you don't know how to cook for yourself? Or will you prepare less expensive meals at home? If you take public transportation to work, you need to know how to figure out the routes and pay the fares. And if you use a car, you need to understand the costs and processes for getting gas, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. You will also have to know how to do your own laundry so you can have clean clothes. The list of responsibilities goes on and on. Clearly, students who have been taught essential life skills will have a big advantage when they are adults.
Based on the examples, what is the author's point of view about people who learn life skills?
People with life skills can earn more money. People with life skills will do well in the real world. People with life skills can get better education. People with life skills find more jobs. Though it doesn't talk about jobs in here, so it's this one.
Based on the conclusion, what can you infer about the author and her audience?
The author is a teen writing for adults. Author's a teen writing for other teens. The author's an adult. It is one of these two, but I think it's more this one. Okay. Anyways, that's all for today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Bye-bye.